the words of Krishna. So welcome. This is Bhagavad Gītā chapter 15, continuation memorization course. And we are on verse number.
Oh, I thought this was a.
What?
I didn't know you were doing your class.
Every Wednesday and every Sunday, Saturday morning. Oh. So on the 12th.
I missed the first
12th verse. So how's everybody doing? Carlos, how's your practice going? Last week's verse. You're taking out. You're gonna dive it deep into the Bhagavad Gītā.
I can't swim.
You can swim. You can swim.
I haven't memorized anything yet.
That's fine.
I know how to say Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
There you go. You got it. Here, stick around.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
You might learn something. So Carlos is ready. He's going to tell us something.
No, I was just going to say that I've been starting to memorize texts 10 and 11.
10 and 11.
Yeah, I'm still working on it, but definitely getting the hang of it more and more.
So now we're moved on to the next section. What is this next section about?
It's not your home.
It's not your home is the first section, verse 1 through 6.
There's a God, it's not you.
O stands for over and over. There's chapu. O stands for over and over and on again. So that's the wheel of samsara, reincarnation. And then here we are on text number 12. This is M stands for
maintainer.
Nice.
Yadaditya gatam tejo jagat vasayate kilam yach chandramasi yach chagno tat tejo vidimamakam. So it's chapter 15, text number 12. So yat, this is a common word, means which, it's kind of like that, to identifier. Chapter 15, text 12. Aditya, this is sometimes you meet people in India that have this name, Aditya. Welcome, Chapu, welcome. Aditya Gatam, Hare Krishna.
What does Aditya mean?
Sunlight. There's actually, if you go to India, it's like everybody says, oh, my name is such and such, my name is such and such, my name is such and such. You say, what does it mean? And they say sunshine. But it's like so many different names. They all mean this word sunshine. But Aditya is a very common one. You will probably meet somebody someday named Aditya.
She's living on our block, 2 houses down.
Who lives on our block?
Aditya Ganga.
Aditi.
Oh,
Aditi Ganga. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Okay.
Yeah. But you will meet somebody from India with this name, Aditya. And then immediately you recite this verse. And they'll be, wow, what? You are Pandit. They will be very surprised. So Teja. Tejas. Have any of you heard this word before? Tejas.
Yeah, we live in it.
Brahma Tejas. Power. Here it says splendor, but it's what is the power of the sun, the sunlight, that power that, you just disconnect the power and then it's like, there's nothing going on there. So plug it in, you got the Aditya Gatam Teja, the power of the sun. I'm the one that I'm that powerhouse which it's connecting to. So Krishna is known as the Shaktiman. You have the Shakti and the Shaktiman, the power and the powerhouse. So you got, you could have all your appliances plugged into the wall, but if they're not plugged into the powerhouse, there's nothing happening. So the powerhouse is who? Krishna, and he is known as, what's his powerhouse name, Jason? Shaktiman.
Oh, that's right, Aditya.
Yeah, Aditya is sunshine.
That's right.
Shaktiman.
Shaktiman.
That's gonna be like one of the Marvel.
Sounds like a superhero. Yeah,
superhero.
And you can remember it because Shakti is like the feminine energy, and then you have Man, which is like that's how I remember it, right?
Yeah.
Shaktiman.
Shaktiman. So Jagat, what does the word Jagat mean? Chapu. Jagannath.
Jagannatha,
Yeah,
like
what is
Lord of the
Jagat?
universe.
So which one is the Lord and which one's the universe?
Mm,
Gopinath.
the nath part will be like the universe.
No.
Okay.
Like they say, Jagat Guru, Guru of the universe. Actually,
Exactly.
Prabhupada, he devotees would say Jagat Guru sometimes, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, but he didn't like it because he said it was used too cheap, like in a cheap way in India. Some guy who'd never like stepped out of his village, and everyone's calling him Guru of the universe, but the guy hasn't been like 3 miles out of his village. And so he was like, it's used too cheaply all the time, you know. So Jagat means universe. And Nat is Lord, like Lord of the Gopis, Gopinath. Hey Gopinath, hey Gopinath. There's a beautiful song. And there's what a Mathura Nath, Lord of Mathura. Yeah, a little knots there. There's actually a peanut butter, but it's not coming from the Vedic tradition. But the name of the peanut butter is called Maranath. It's actually comes from a Christian tradition. You ever seen that? It's in Whole Foods. Maranath peanut butter. But Mara means death, the Lord of Death. Lord of Death peanut butter. So Jagat means universe. And then we have this word that we have used previously in text number 6. Who can remember text number 6? Natad Basayate Suryo. Natad Basayate Suryo. So Basayate means illumination. So Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo Jagat. How do we act out the universe? Basayate Kilam is spreading. It's spreading over the illuminating. Everything is illuminating, so it's kind of like hard to act it out. You got the Akila means completely. Akila. Akilat Mabuto. I can't remember what that verse means, but there's that word Akila there. And what does Chandra mean?
Moon?
Moon, yes, Chandra. Nityananda Chandra is here. This is Nityananda Chandra Das.
Eternal.
So Krishna,
The eternal moon?
Krishna, he's eternally blissful. He's Nityananda, but he is like a Chandra. He shines that on others. And I'm just this Das, servant. Chandramasi. You might have heard, how many of you have taken a yoga class where they do the Sanskrit names of the poses? They don't say pigeon pose or this. So one of them is called Ardha Chandrasana. Ardha Chandrasana. You know this? You know?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Half moon pose. I don't know why that's a half moon, but that's called a half moon pose. Ardha is half. Chandrasana. And Agni. What does Agni mean? Carlos. Agni. Ignite. Agni. Fire. If you ever watch, you have to watch Abhay Charan. Abhay Charan is a TV series, really fun to watch, on the whole life of Srila Prabhupada. And in the beginning episode, there is kind of like a head-to-head spiritual battle between somebody named Bisa Kissenbadar. In the movie, they call him Falgu Bhagavan. He's basically a mystic yogi who has powers, and he is telling everybody that he's God, and he's having like all the people have their daughters become his wives, and it's like it's a whole scandal. And they asked Srila Prabhupada's guru's guru, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because he was involved in the government in India, and he was a great exalted saint. They said, please help us with this this person, because he's exploiting a lot of people. You know, he's getting all these young ladies as his co-wives, as he's some yogi. He's telling everybody he's God. And so, yeah, and in one scene, he's like, Agni, fire. He's like trying to light fires with his yogic powers, but it's not working. And he's like, Agni, fire. You remember that scene?
Is that when he holds up the Shamar Bhagavatam to his forehead?
Yeah.
And then yeah. That was far up.
It's cool. And it's like super cheesy, like Indian cereal, but it's like super sweet.
It's good.
And I can send you the link of the whole playlist. I put it on YouTube, unlisted, so they don't take it down. And there's some like death metal looking scenes, or like this guy, they have like long hair and they're like drumming, like living in a cave, and they're all like this tantric yogis. Yeah, they're all here. My son's doing it. Do it. Go like that.
It's really painful if you actually do it.
So Agni means fire. Yes. Agni. We get what word in English we get from that? Agni. Ignite. Yes. Tat Tejo. Tat Tejo. What does tat mean? David. What letter do you have to add? Yeah, you just have to add an H to there and you get a that. Have you heard of the word tattva? Jiva tattva, Vishnu tattva. Tattva means like a category. Tat means something you can point out, you can identify. And va is like a thatness, something you can, okay, you can identify categories. So but this word right here is not about categories. This is the word that. That teja, what does the word teja mean, Carlos?
Splendor.
Nope.
No, illumination?
Nope.
Okay.
Teja, that's the
power.
The power.
I thought that tattva meant truth.
Tattva. Well, it's like it's something that is established, something that is identified. Yeah. So teja, we have the word teja twice in this verse. So the power behind the sunlight that lights up the universe, Jagat Basayate Kilam. That which with the moon and fire, that tejo, that power. Vidhi means to know. Vidhi, mamakam, mamakam. Put your hand like this. Say it, mamakam, come. Like, see, Ramananda is drawing something. Okay, you don't want to show it, but you can just say, who drew it? Who drew it?
I did.
You did, so you say mamakam.
Namakam.
Yes. So he drew it. It comes from him. So mamakam are also from me. Mamakam. Mama. What does mama mean? Chapu? Mine. Mama. Near, Mama. Any questions so far?
Prabhu, did you send the email that you usually send for, like, you usually record yourself? And I don't know if I got the email myself.
I think I sent, let me check it out. I know I had like some like errors and I put like 15.2 instead of 15.12. And then I looked at it again and there was missing I quoted the Baladev Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's. I quoted the wrong verse when I put it in. Let's see, 15.2. Yeah, it's out. It says 15.2 memorization. It came out 4 days ago, and yeah, there is a link there too.
Okay, maybe I must have missed it. The last one I got from you was on Saturday. So last Saturday. So
this is okay. On the 19th.
On the 19th?
And it went to Carlos Corredor.
Mhm.
CA. It might be, check the spam. Maybe it could get spammed.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. And I think I sent it again. I sent, oh, here's a video. No, that's the other 5 too.
Oh, I got it in my junk email. Okay, so
Yeah.
found it.
Tell them it's not junk, please. Yeah. It's good stuff.
I found that writing it actually helps a lot too.
Oh, yes. Okay, got Bailey coming in. Welcome, Bailey. Bailey Ki Jai, Haribo, Bailey. Welcome, Bailey.
Haribol Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
So we're going over the sunlight, the moonlight, fire. All these things come from
Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna. Yes. So, yeah, we're talking. So Yad Aditya, Aditya is sunlight. Aditya Gatam. I don't know what Gatam. Gatam, actually, I do know what Gatam means. Gatam is Gatam Agatam. Gatam means everywhere. Let me see, because I've seen this word before. Gatam. Hold on. I've seen this word before. I think it's in chapter 2. Gatam. Pervading, Sarva Gatam. Gatam. Obtained, gone, left, achieved, became, place. It's hard to figure out what's how does it go together? Gatam, Agatam. Let me see Bhagavad Gītā. Where does it say? Antagatam, Sarvagatam. What does Agatam mean? Let's see. Gatam, Agatam, death and birth. Okay, I don't understand that one. Okay, anyway. Agata, not gone, having returned. Okay, so Aditya, what does Aditya mean, Mr. David Stallings? Tell Bailey, what does Aditya mean?
That's sunshine.
Sunshine. And is it a common name in India?
It's a very common name in India.
It's a common name in India. And what are you going to do when you see somebody named Aditya?
You're going to recite this verse.
And you're going to blow his
Blow their
mind.
mind.
Yeah, he's like, what's this white dude chanting some verse from the Gita? They get, yeah, really surprised and a lot of great appreciation. And Bailey, what does Jagat mean? Let's see if he knows it. Jagat. And we will give a clue. Jagannath.
The all-powerful?
No. So Jagat means, like there's a word Jagat Guru, it means the universe. So Jagat Basayate Kilam. We have this word Basayate in verse number 6, means it's illuminating. And Akilam means, well, let me see, this Akila we have also, I've seen this in another important verse, not in chapter 15, but I am just curious. Where are we getting this Akilam? Akilat Mabuto. Okay, it's in chapter 4. It's in chapter 7. Oh yeah, Chakilam. It's like the second to last verse in chapter 7. You have full, entire, complete, whole. Let's see, contains. Let's see where else. I think there's some other. So let's ask George. What does Aditya mean?
Aditya means
It's like it's a brand of peanut butter. No.
oh,
No, it's not.
I know,
It's
it's
sunlight.
not.
It's sunlight.
It's
It's
not
just-
Marinade.
I'm just
Right?
just messing you up.
That's the peanut butter. Yeah. It means,
Yeah.
peanut butter, right?
Aditya is
Spread out.
the sunlight.
Sunlight.
Yeah.
Sunlight.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I knew that. Jagat Basaya Tekilam. What is Bailey? What does Chandra mean?
I know that one.
Moon.
Moon. You got it. And Agni.
Fire.
Fire, yes, yes. And Teja. Plug it in and you got the
Electricity.
power.
Power.
Yes. And so he says that Teja within the sunlight, the Teja behind the moon, and the power within fire. That comes from me. Can you have, how do you survive without your sunlight? Can you survive? Say you're a survivalist. You got your batteries charged. What does moonlight do? Does anybody know what does moonlight do? Jason's saying answer there.
Nourishes the vegetables.
Did you hear him?
I heard a little bit, but I didn't know.
So
I promise.
yes. So in the you have this in the next verse. It talks about what the moon does, and it's kind of a little bit of a subtle science, but it is something that's already accepted in the West. And like if you go to Farmer's Almanac, as far as you go back, it talks about the effect of the moon on the growth of plants. Like for example, there's something called a lunar burn. Lunar burn is if you like trim some plants during the full moon. What happens? What does the moon do to things that contain water? Pulls it up. So during the full moon, it's said that there's a stronger pull. And so on this day, if you clip trim the plant, it'll pull that sap out and it will bleed it out. That's called a lunar burn. So there's, Farmer's Almanac, they have noticed things and they've documented things about the effect of the moon on the growth of vegetables. Here also, it's more so in the next verse, it's saying that the light of the moon affects the flavor, the rasa. What does that word rasa mean? Remember we heard that word? What was it? What was a common thing in India that people call ras?
Juice.
Juice, yeah. So that flavor, that juice, that it would just be just water if it wasn't juice, but there's some flavor to it. So that flavor in the vegetables that is understood to be affected, the nutrients, how they develop by the effect of the moon. Now, that's a little bit more probably not something that people are aware of yet. And there's a lot of sciences that are out there that could be studied if we didn't have our blinders on. I have an example. How many of you have had the feeling that you are being stared at? I'm staring at Jason right now to see if you. How many of you had that feeling? And then you look, and what happened? And you find out, yes, it was true. Somebody's staring at me. And it's very interesting. Like even somebody, like you could be in a football stadium, and you can kind of how could you tell with your eyesight that the person's looking at you, from kind of far away? But somehow okay, that person's looking at me right now. There's something going on. So this one scientist, he thought, is it very scientific? Because we're taught the eyes don't project energy. Is that what we're all taught? Modern science, regular science, eyes do not project energy. The light energy comes into the eyes and the information is digested and translated to the brain. So how could you make someone feel something by your stare? Now this scientist, not a devotee, just a regular scientist, he said, well, is it very scientific to ignore something that everyone experiences? That practically everyone can attest that having had the feeling of someone staring at them and it being verified that they were staring at me. And so what he discovered is, well, you have like there's an instrument called the EEG. There's another one that reads the brain waves. The brain emits waves. This is a basic scientific fact. This is not, some, hippy dippy, whatever. This is just regular science. And if you don't think of it's a body, if you just think of it as an instrument that emits waves. And so what he did is he tried to find out if the waves of the brain could be focused, the signal that is coming out, if it could be focused with one's vision. And he created some kind of mesh system and like some kind of filter, and there were sensors and stuff like that. And he found out he had like some kind of foil. I don't know how to do it. He knew how to do it. And he found out that a higher frequency of that emanation from the brain could be focused with vision. Like you could literally, instead of having like a clapper where you turn off your lights with the clap, you could have the stare where you like stare at your, and the thing would have a sensor that picked up your brain waves and turned it off.
That's insane.
Yes, that is insane. But this guy he didn't have his blinders on. He was open to see things that were, other people said that's not possible. Reminds me of the guy from X-Men. Yes. So that's all of us. We got that power. And the frequency, if you stop thinking of it as a human being and just understand what is the power and the frequency that the brain emanates, just like as a machine, the power and frequency that it emanates, that frequency that power does not trail. Like if you had a sensitive enough machine, you could pick it up a mile away. So, like radio waves or something like that. It's not something that, goes away within 300 feet. It spreads far and wide. So that's a little modern science there. And so here in the next verse, mostly, it talks about how this effect of the moonlight affects the growth in vegetables. I know in one of the talks, Wisdom of Sages, they were talking about, they were saying, is the moonlight cool? Which is this kind of, I would like one, because I've seen a video, but I would like to test it myself. A person, do you guys remember he said when you walk on the sand that is shaded, it's warmer. But the sand that has the direct moonlight beaming on it is cooler. That was Raghu's experience. And I saw another video that a person had like a temperature laser, and they were showing the same thing. I don't know. We don't, like we said, we don't really know anything, but it would be nice if I could just buy one of those things. Mr. Chance is back. Welcome back, Mr. Chance. If I could buy one of those things and just test it for myself, just so I can say with my own confidence, yes, I've tested this, and it's definitely different. Same material, but this side's cooler due to the effect of the moonlight. So unless I test it myself, I can't say with confidence, But it does kind of, if that is true, then it does stand to reason that there's a lot more to the moon than we know.
It's been said also, Prabhu, that during Ekadashi, the reason why we fast 3 days before the full moon, okay, maybe by this point I may be paraphrasing, but so because our bodies are made up of like 70% water, right? So just like the tides are affected by the full moon, because our bodies are made up of pretty much water.
It's a hard day to fast too, I think, because of that. It's like, okay, you want to fast, but then that day is like the harder day to fast.
There's
like,
some science behind it for sure.
I want to eat 10 times more now. But then that's like the right day to do it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's do some practice. Let's see. I'll see if there's anything else in the verse that we can look at. So yeah, this is going right in the beginning. Maintainer of body, and this verse, next verse, 12, 13, 14 is all about how Krishna is maintaining our body, and verse 15 is mind and soul. So 12, 13, and 14, Krishna maintains our body. He's maintaining our existence in this material world. Therefore, we should feel some gratitude from all these things. Splendor of the moon. Let's see. By moonshine, all the vegetables are nourished. Moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they're living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of God. So most moonshine, it also has like a pleasing feel to the mind, just bathing in the moonshine. These are some thoughts to provoke Krishna consciousness in the conditioned soul. Without his mercy, there cannot be sun. Without his mercy, there cannot be moon. Without his mercy, there cannot be fire. Therefore, sunrise, fire, and moonlight are so pleasing to the living entities. And we're staring at a screen all the time, and that's just a transformation of fire. It's just like we like to look at the fire. It could be a bonfire or it could be a TV screen. We just enjoy that Agni. Okay, Yad Aditya Katham Tejo. Yad Aditya Gatham Tejo. Jason, you're resting? Oh, you're asleep. Yeah. Yad Aditya Gatham Tejo. Jagat Bhasayate Khilam. Jagat Bhasayate Khilam. Yach Chandramasi Yach Chagno. Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam. So Bailey, do you understand? Do you know what the word vidhi means?
I don't.
It means to understand or know.
Oh, you tricked me.
So vidhi. So this good. Everyone do this. Vidhi. I got Anna Singh David's hand. There you go. Vidhi. Tatejo vidhi mamakam. Vidhi mamakam. Vidhi mamakam. Vidhi mamakam. Vidhi mamakam. What does mamakam mean? Mine. Okay, see. Yare ditya gatham tejo. Jagat basayate kilam. I don't have anything different for that. Anybody got something different for that one? The second line? How do you? Jagat basayate kilam. Yach Chandramasi, Yach Chagno. Tatejo Vidimamakam. Okay, Ramanani. Yad Aditya.
Yadaditya
Gatham Tejo.
Gatam Jeju
Jagat
Jagat
Vasayate Kilam.
Vasayakatiam
Yach Chandramasi.
Yes, Chandramasi.
Yach Chagno.
Yes, Chagno.
Tat Tejo.
Tachejo.
Vidi Mamakam.
Vidi Mamakam.
Yes. Anybody got something to act out different for the second line? Jagat, you can put like a planet going around the sun or something. Okay. Yariditya katham tejo jagat basayate kilam it's chandramasi it's chagno tat tejo tat teja teja. I don't know, however you want to do power. How do you want to do power? Tat tejo vidi mamakam yaraditya gatam tejo jagat basayate kilam yach chandramasi yach chagno tat tejo vidimamakam. So the next verse, just imagine you have a ball, you have some sand in your palm, and you're at the beach, you have sand in your palm, and you do spin really fast in a circle. What's going to happen? It's going to fly everywhere. What if you hold the sand like that? Daryaham. What if you hold it solid and spin? It stays all together, correct? So Krishna says, look at these planets, they're flying around. But I provide something that holds them together, called what we call gravity. He says, I'm creating that effect. Otherwise, you just like the dirt would fly. If gravity was shut off on Earth, everything would just fly away. It would just spread out and just turn into like sand dust. That's a cool part of the next verse. They all kind of go together. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. Daryaham means I'm holding it. And the example given by Baladev Vidyabhushan and Srila Prabhupada was this example of the sand. And Pushnami, the nourishing of the Oshadhi, the vegetables, Sarva, by the influence of the moon, Soma, or Satmaka, thus giving that great flavor, all those tastes. A lot of the herbs, like in Kali Yuga, things are, lesser tastes. Like for those, how many of you have like crossed the border to like another country? Like you go to Mexico and you say, is this milk organic? And they're like, what? And it's like, automatically tastes better. Or the vegetables taste better. And you come back to America, everything's like bland. It's like no flavor in the vegetables. What's wrong with this place? So in Kali Yuga, yeah, things have kind of reduced their potency. They used to have these herbs in the Ramayana. They had an herb. What was it called? I forget the name of the herb. But as long as their head was still attached, it could bring a dead person back to life. That's what Hanuman brought on the mountain. He flew in the air carrying a mountain on his hands. There we go. There was a cartoon made by like some Krishna kids, like an anime called Ninja, the little boy ninja. And they didn't want to like be open about like this is all connected to bhakti, but the emblem of the cartoon was Hanuman. And he took like a fruit and he said, oh my Lord, please accept this as an offering. I was like, dude, this is totally bhakti stuff. What are you trying to do? Why are you trying to hide it? And then one time, like he was like tied, like he was this like little boy ninja. It was like super bloody and graphic, and it was kind of like they used like swear words a lot in the beginning. It was like all computer animated, and it was made like just by some kids, you know, but it was like really cool animation. And so they tied it, like he got like attacked, and they tied him with like ropes and put him in a thing of quicksand with like lizards biting him. And like he, with his meditation, like he slowed down his breath and slowed down his like heartbeat. And then he went like astral projected his consciousness to like fly to like meet some guru. No, he went to go see the guy that attacked him. But on the way, he flew past the Jagannath temple. You could see like the Jagannath temple. And you're like, okay, come on, you're not fooling us, man. We know this stuff. Sanjivani. That was the mantra, I think. Mrit Sanjivani. I think that was the mantra that was told by, I forget. That's a whole story about the Sanjivani mantra. So yeah, he went and attacked the guy in his sleep, like a ghost attacks somebody, and the guy woke up, and then he came back to his body, and broke free of his thing, and he came. He was like a little boy ninja, and it used to be you could find it online. It's kind of hard to find ninja, but yeah, Hanuman is the emblem. Kids are, I don't know what they're doing.
I would like to comment, Prabhu.
Oh yes, please.
So when I first started memorizing the shlokas, at first it was more of an intellectual thing, trying to get the words down and remember the Sanskrit. But as it's progressed, I heard on the show a while ago, I don't know if it was Raghunath or Kastuba, they said the more and more you read the Bhagavad Gītā, Krishna's personality comes through it more. And as I've been doing this, it's been changing over the course of studying these shlokas, and it's so much more just beautiful and touches me in a different way than when I first started. And it was more of like an intellectual game when I was trying to like puzzle piece it together. Now it's coming more alive.
Nice. Wonderful. I had this experience with chanting chapter 2 because I was singing the chanting, and it just, I don't know, the way the verses sound, because Arjuna is in like anxiety. He's flipping out. He's freaking out. Like he's saying all these different ideas. If you like have some philosophy, and if it's working out for you, you don't start crying. You feel like good about it. Like, yeah, this is great. But he was saying all these different ideas, and he was just actually becoming more and more depressed because it wasn't actually, his ideas weren't giving him clarity. He was just so much anxiety. And I just felt it like in the Sanskrit, like the way it just sounded like he's just like, ah. And it was cool to like recite it, because that kind of was felt in like the way it sounded in the Sanskrit, the melody or the rhythm, or just the way it came out. It just felt like there was some like desperation there that I might not have noticed without chanting it. Any other reflections? Carlos, any?
Excuse me.
Mr. Chan.
I didn't quite have not necessarily a reflection, but I did recognize the word because there's
You just cut
another
out.
mantra that I know.
What was the word?
Sorry, Aditya.
Aditya, yes. What was the mantra that you know?
There's another. It's something I learned from listening to Ram Dass.
Okay.
Something he talked about in one of his lectures was he introduced the mantra Aditya Hridayam Punyam Sarsharu Vinashanam. And it translates to
Destroy something vinash.
But Bina Shanam, not Binash, Bina Shanam. He said it roughly translates to all evil shall vanish from life for he who keeps the sun in his heart.
Yeah, so the thing that got destroyed was the evil. Vinashaya to just
Yeah.
And then yeah, you keep that light. Whether and my kids were watching some cartoon and I was like, they said some analogy and I was like, that's totally wrong. That's stupid. They said where the right light gets brighter, the darkness gets darker. And I was like, what? That's not true. On any level, that's not true. And I was like, no. And if everything is dark, then there's the dark parts are darker. But as soon as you turn on the light, everything starts to light up. The closet starts to get some light in it. Everything it just kind of raises the tide. So yeah. There's a couple of verses kind of like that one too. Not Jyotisam. There's a couple verses like the one you just recited. Another famous one. I can't remember it though. Not from the Gita, but popular about keep the light in your heart. Nice. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's go again. Yada ditya gatam tejo. Actually, somebody else read it. Can start with David. Just go across.
Yadaditya Gatam Tejo Jagat Bhasyate Kilam.
And then give a pause and everyone will recite after you.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if that was happening. So just one line at a time?
Yeah, one line at a time.
Yeah. Yadaditya Gatam Tejo Jagat Bhasate Kilam Yach Chandramasi Yach Chagno Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam.
Okay, Carlos.
Yad aditya gatam tejo Jagad Basyate Akilam
Jagat Vasayate Kilam.
Yach Chandramasi Yach Chagno
Yach Chandramasi Yach Chagno.
Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam.
Chapuji.
Yadaditya gatam tejo
Yadaditya Gatam Tejo.
Jagat Vasayate Kilam Yak Chandramasi Yak Chagno Tattejo Vidhi Mamakam.
Bailey.
Yadaditya gatam tejo
Gatam Tejo.
Jagad Vashyate Kilam
Jagat Vasayate Kilam.
Yach Chandramasi Yach Chagno Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam.
Vidi Mamakam. Mamakam. Nice. Very good. Who can say the first line without looking?
Yadaditya gatam tejo. Bless you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Achyuta.
Achuta.
Achyuta Keshava. Anybody else want to try? First line, no lookings.
Yadaditya gatam tejo
And next line.
You're
Jagat.
mean. Jagat Basayate Kilam.
Yes. It's Chandra.
Yeah,
Carlos, there you go.
Oh.
First line. David, on your right.
Yadaditya gatam tejo.
Nice, nice. Carlos.
Something Jagad. Jagad is the Lord of the universe. I don't know the rest. The second part?
Oh, first part.
Jadaditya. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo.
Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo.
Again.
Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo.
Again.
Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo.
And what does Teja mean?
Tejo means power.
Power, yes.
Not, yeah, power. Sorry. I have a translation that says splendor. Do you know
Oh yeah,
why that?
splendor.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. It says there splendor. Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo. And a lot of these, the word for words are kind of contextual. They're not giving the words literal definition, but they're giving kind of in context. And so I'm not I know some Sanskrit words. I took a little conversational Sanskrit, but I'm not a Sanskrit scholar. I can't like look at a verse and translate it. I just know the word Teja, like Brahma Tejas means like the power, the spiritual powers. So what is the power of what is the splendor? Splendor is the power of the sun. It's the power of the sunlight, is that luminosity, that splendor.
I have a question, Prabhu.
Yes.
So I believe in it's verse 8 when it's talking about quitting and taking another body. We
Yes,
travel like aromas through the air. So there are some words in the translation that aren't necessarily I guess communicated in the Sanskrit. Like conceptions is a big word in that translation that doesn't necessarily come through. Is that directly from here? Let me pull
Can
it
you
up.
give an example? Like
Yeah. So in the living. Okay, so the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another.
Yeah. So that's
and so there's and
I think we looked at that one. Let's see.
Is Prabhupada filling all the gaps? That's his?
I think it is actually related to the previous verse because of the mind.
Oh.
You're struggling hard with the six senses, including the mind. I can't remember. I think I looked at that. Different conceptions of life. So why does it say conceptions? Shariram gets body, gives up body. Ishvara. Something goes away. Shaya. And hold on. Let's see. Let's see. That's verse number 8.
Yeah.
We can look at take a quick look at the commentaries that we sent and see if it says, because the commentaries are also translated in different ways too, so sometimes it gives a little hint. Number 8, when the jiva accepts, or this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when the jiva accepts or leaves the body, he takes these senses with him. So it's relating. You see how it's talking about in the text number 7 that he's struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. We talked about, because and I was confused at one point while studying this. I was like, wait a minute, what about it sounded like in text 9 like he's getting senses, that he's just getting senses, which in a gross sense he is, but he's not getting a mind because he's carrying the mind with him. That's what the translation at least says for text 8. So then I had this question here, like it says, okay, he's, text number 8 says he's traveling with the mind, and then text number 9 sounds like he's getting a mind. And so text number 8 by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, it says, when the jiva accepts or leaves his body, you can look at the email, he
Mhm.
takes with him these senses with him in the subtle body.
Yeah.
So it's bringing, it's part of the conversation of text number 7. So it's in context of text number 7 that he's saying that he's living entity, struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include mana, the mind, which is part of the 6 senses, Sashtirindriyani. And so how do we know that there are subtle senses? Well, the example we gave was, like when you're dreaming, none of your senses are active, but you have all kinds of perception. So there is definitely something called the subtle senses that probably I'm just guessing the energy of the subtle senses gets kind of plugged into the physical senses. But and so here, dragging around the senses. So this is this is the purport by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, which this purport seems to be, kind of bringing what is a lot of times, like Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur he'll bring the context. Okay, the previous verse says he's karshati, he's literally kind of dragging around senses and mind. So in dragging the senses, what does the jiva do? When the jiva, the master of the senses, accepts a body and leaves a body, the Ishvar, the master of the senses, he goes away, taking these senses along with the subtle body. This is like the wind taking fragrance from its subtle elements, from receptacles of fragrance, ashayat, such as garlands or sandalwood, and going elsewhere. And then here's Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary. When the jiva accepts or leaves a body, he takes these senses with him in a subtle body, just as the air takes fragrance from objects or goes elsewhere. So yeah, it's all as you see, when we study these verses all together, you see how they relate together. Like the first 5, 6 verses have kind of a particular theme, and verse 7 through 11 is a particular theme. So there's a contextual. The previous verse, it's mentioned that the jiva situated in the material world, this is Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary, is carrying the senses. This verse elaborates this point. Whenever, yat, the jiva enters another body after giving up the previous one, and whenever he leaves the body as he has attained, the master of the senses and the body, Ishvar, the jiva, takes those senses along with the subtle body. The jiva wanders from body to body, just as the wind, taking fragrance from a flower bud, ashayat, travels elsewhere. And I heard this really cool point. Let me see if I find my son has my iPad. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's a really cool point. It's Evernote uses Evernote. I think Miss Chapu and Chance had to go. All right. Let me just type in keyword. All right. So the biggest aviation catastrophe in the history of the world. Those 2 Boeing 747s, 583 bodies, Pan Am and KLM. 1 second. So there was said to be some, like one plane was diverted because there was some kind of bomb at some other place. So and and there was a plane that was always, hold on, I got a question. You know, minute. They always had the record of being on time, so they're a little bit impatient. And so we're off at the takeoff. That was what the message was. And the person said, okay. And there was a whole confusion as what does okay mean? Okay, like, okay, we're gonna go, okay. And so you can't say okay anymore when there's all kinds of redundancies that are employed. You have to repeat your flight. You are flight such and such. Do I have permission to take off? You know, do I have permit? It's like really very, very clear because, you know, so because the speech is very redundant, just because it's easy to make mistakes. Let's see. I'm taking these. These are notes from a lecture that I heard. The thought is 6 times faster than speech. That's why sometimes we feel bored. But in aviation, it's built in a mandatory redundancies, at least 10 to 15 times, 15 times less likely to have an accident, meaning repeated statements. So Prabhupada has kind of brought, like, he's kind of like going to the finish line a lot of the times. Many of the verses have elements of bhakti, but not all the verses are just like, yeah, it's like elements, but he's kind of give the graduate understanding. Let's see, do bhakti now, so we don't misunderstand the message, because the Bhagavad Gītā can be easily misunderstood. It's just like music. Music has redundancies. You only 12 notes, and you know, several different melodies, and it's all the same. We hear it at the same time, but let's see. These are all different notes, and it's kind of more fresh if I just heard the class. Yeah, I remember this is the person who gave this class is amazing, very, very, very sharp. And so, all right, yeah, sometimes these redundancies are there. Krishna is also, it's like he's starting off in chapter 2, he's giving a tiny little bit of bhakti. Chapter 3, he starts to give a little bit more bhakti. But Prabhupada kind of like gives like, hey, here's the PhD, like from the beginning to end. So you don't get confused by the things leading up towards it. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's written for Dwapara Yuga sages, but you know. All right, that was just a little point there. So there's redundancies there just to make sure no mistakes, the message is clear. But yeah, that chapter, that verse, yeah, it's referring to the previous verse. So I think, yeah, we are at our time. We usually go like an hour and 5 minutes, and we had, you know, a little clear time just to make sure everyone's here. Any other reflections or comments? We're good. Okay. So yeah, if you need any help with anything, let us know. Thank you very much for participating. Maybe after we finish, we're getting close. We're getting close. And I know not everybody started this class at the very beginning, so you still have some time to work on those other ones as well. But we'll maybe, I think we might want to extend it a little bit, just so we can get more and more solid with what we know. And for those who have started at a different point in the class, we can work on those as well, the previous verses. We can just practice together and then figure out. Also, maybe practice explaining it. Maybe starting, I think it would be, instead of getting our head in a whole trouble, just explaining from verse 6 or 7 on in a summarized form, or just try to explain each verse 6 through 20, and then kind of work on the first part and see how to comfortably explain that. All right, and then
That sounds good.
have you ever called any of your friends and say, hey, let me rap you a verse? Anybody done that yet?
Not friends,
Uh,
but my wife and daughter are definitely sick of hearing me do that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah.
And somebody's bound to be like, what? That's kind of impressive, even if they don't know anything about it. As long
Yeah,
as
I will
it's
say though, my wife, like I'll hear her put words in as I'm doing it, and she is not studying it at all, but it's just from
Wow.
her hearing it over and over again.
Wow. Yeah, remember Gajendra the elephant. He remembered verses. Just
Mhm.
prayers just came from his previous life. So good stuff. Well, thank you so much. Om Tat
Thank
Sat.
you, Prabhu.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
association, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.